It is June 30th at 6:53 p.m. This is the Recreation and Parks Committee, and we are here to provide a recommendation to council regarding authorizing the Rec Board to enter into a professional service agreement with MSA Architects of Columbus, Ohio, related to the design of the Troy Aquatic Park Improvements / maintenance project at a cost not to exceed $220,000. Mr. Titterington?
Sure. Thank you, Mrs. Westphal, Madam Chair. We are asking for authorization for the Recreation Board to sign an agreement with MSA. This is, I would like to make this crystal clear. This has nothing to do with any kind of an expansion of the facility. This was discussed pretty thoroughly in the budget process when there were questions about expansion alternatives with the pool, as well as other park and recreation potential needs. At that time, the council approved a budget for $1.7 million to include design and construction for, I'll read it right out of the budget document, TAP, Troy Aquatic Park Repair Renovation - no expansion, includes gutters, pumps, chemical controllers, as well as anything else that the preliminary findings have already, the analysis has already shown. This is to keep our existing facility after 21 years up to par, so that we don't fall behind like you've read about in other communities in the Miami Valley. Again, this has nothing to do with the expansion, those alternatives that are part of the analysis and the prioritization that is being contemplated and that will be presented to the Park and Recreation Boards, as well as the council, related to the Park and Recreation master planning process. This $220,000 is a not to exceed number. It's a maximum number, and will include the final project design, as well as coming up with a scope, plan, specifications, so that we can bid out that renovation work. We are not asking for emergency legislation.
Okay. Can we get details about what they're wanting to renovate?
Mr. Seiler is here, the Recreation Director. He can give you some more details on that.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As Mr. Titterington mentioned, believe it or not, it's been 21 years since we opened the facility. It's hard to believe that's the case. We had a study done last fall, and the assessment did indicate that the 21-year-old facility is in fairly good condition in comparison to what they see at most facilities that are 21 years old. However, it's reached that point where we need to be thinking about doing some renovations to, or maintenance to, a lot of those parts of the operational system of the facility. And included as part of some of those projects are, apologize, so we need to do some work to the drop slide that was installed a couple years after the pool was opened.
The what slide?
The drop slide, which is in the
okay.
deep end area.
Okay.
We just recoated the other two slides about 3 years ago. They're in good condition, other than maybe some touch-up and repainting of the slide structure itself. The rope barrier fencing throughout the facility is in bad condition and all needs to be replaced. There's some concrete decking that needs to be replaced. The entry point, the wood over structure that is over the main entry point needs to be replaced. We're experiencing significant rotting in that particular structure, and they've recommended that we replace that with a steel type structure. The pool itself, the upper portions of the walls need to be taken out and replaced, as well as the gutters. And then the entire pool would need to be recoated with the Diamond Bright application that is in both the baby pool and the main pool. We also need to replace a couple more of the pumps that have not yet been replaced. We've replaced a good portion of those, but there's still a couple that those need replaced. The chemical controllers and all of that feed system needs replaced, as well as all of the pool piping in the main pump room area, the visible piping, all of the underground pipes. We're not getting involved with those particular areas. Those are obviously a little bit more difficult to access, but all of the piping that's in the main pump room, as well as we need to do some repairs and replacement of the sand in all of our filtration system in the main pump room. So those were the items that were kind of addressed and outlined as part of the assessment that we had done last fall. We'd be working with MSA to develop the specs to go out to bid. And based on the discussions that we had with multiple architects, the timing would be that we would intend to go out to bid with this right around the end of the year, so that we could be prepared to accomplish this task right after the 2026 season, in order to be done for the 2027 season.
Okay. And so this is all included in the 1.7?
Their estimate that they gave was 1.35 to 1.56
Okay,
for those items that I outlined.
okay.
And so,
And
yeah,
then
the
this is
220 is the design part.
The
Right.
220
Right.
is the design part.
So the people that did the study, they're not architects, so you have to have an architect figure out what, I mean, it looks like it's all been,
That was my
spelled
question.
out.
I'm like, they already
I'm
came
like,
through and said everything.
Why do
that
we
needs to be
need
done.
220,000 more for
Well, I
somebody?
think there's a lot more. I mean, I don't think we don't feel comfortable getting involved with having walls torn out, those type of things. Structural engineers will need to be involved with regards to the pool itself. They
Okay.
would involve Water Technologies, who was the original water company that was involved when we designed and built the pool to begin with, so they would be involved as well. That's
But
part of
nothing
their
is being
team.
changed.
I think
Yeah.
that we're a little confused. So let's look at the streetscape project, for example. All right, we've done that in steps. You've gotten renderings, you've gotten preliminary design drawings, and now we're into the detailed design drawings. This is scaled down significantly, but it's basically the same process. So the analysis was done, taking a look at what's there and what, the inspection part of it. Now we're getting to the point where, for permitting as well as for clarity of the bidders, the contractors that'll come in, we need some detailed design drawings, as well as some pretty technical bid specifications, so that we can go out to bid and get accurate bids from the contractors. It's the same process. It's a construction project, and that first step was understanding which items need to be done. This next step is the detailed part of it, where this is how it needs to be done, so bid this based on these specifications.
Okay.
And when we do these types of improvements to aquatic facility, there's also a lot of involvement with the architect and the engineers related to all of the drawings that need to be submitted to the state of Ohio. All of those things have to be approved, which is a very lengthy process and very involved.
And so all of that would be done for this to be done in 2026?
Correct.
end of,
At the end
after
of,
next,
at the end of 2026 season,
the end
correct?
of the season, okay.
Mhm.
And that would all be able to be done during that time, you could get it all done?
We will, that's plenty of time according to
Okay.
the architects and the engineers. We're hopeful that the majority of it would be done. Actually, the benefit will be to get started as soon as the pool is, season is ended in 26, so that we have decent weather as opposed to trying to start it in the middle of the winter and being so contingent upon cold weather. So their hope would be that the major parts of the project would be done even before we hit the significant winter weather.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think maybe some people might have some concerns that we are putting money into, like, that is still a significant amount of money to put into something that we could potentially be tearing up when, is that not the case? When we renovate more?
We spoke about this because that question did come up, and we've had that discussion before, and, to the rec board's credit, I think they've been very cognizant of that, but you can speak better.
Yeah, I mean, I think the projects that I've listed here, the majority of these are improvements to or repairs to what we currently already have in the facility. It's maintaining what we already have there, not necessarily expanding or renovating or, increasing any type of features at this point.
Oh, no, I know
Those would
that.
be part of a potential, I say potential second phase if that were the results of the Park and Rec master plan.
Okay, so those things wouldn't have to be redone, is what I'm asking, basically.
Correct. Now, there
Okay.
may be some sections of concrete that need to be torn out. They need to be torn out now for safety purposes, because as Ken has stated, it's going to be another year and a half or 2 years before even this work is done. And if the pool becomes is a high priority at the end of the master planning, there's going to be, I'd say, several years from now before we'd even get to the construction. So several more years would have gone by. So, we need to maintain what's there. So if there are sections of concrete that we replace now, and then they end up getting torn up later, they still needed to be done now.
Okay.
But, so, I guess what I'm asking is, like, let's just use the pool for an example, like, the resurfacing of that, I'm sure that costs a lot of money. In the, the future plans, like, would that be possibly torn up to, if we expand, I'm just trying to look at, like, what would.
That's not one of the alternatives that has been discussed or analyzed, so no.
Okay. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm clear that saying the things that we're doing now, other than the concrete, like the maintenance part, is not going to be, not wasteful, but I don't want it to appear like we are putting a lot of money towards this, knowing that we're going to be remodeling, possibly remodeling, renovating those things in the near future.
The three alternatives that we had presented earlier this year, one was the splash pad idea, the other was a lazy river, and then the third one was adding another pool area. It was not tearing out any of the existing pools.
Would the filtration and chemical maintenance for any new addition in the future be run out of the same maintenance area we have now, which is part of the work we're doing now?
It would likely be expanded and added to a separate filtration space.
So it will have its own
And
kind of
chemical
and be
feeds.
running its own system.
Correct.
Any new addition will.
Yes.
Okay.
And then just to clarify, this is not the additions we're talking about, but the survey still is ongoing if you do want to participate
It
in that
is.
survey?
All right.
Thank you.
Any other council members?
If we do these renovations now, and it'd probably be a guesstimate, but how long could the pool go before we'd have to redo these types of things again?
21 years.
21 years?
I mean, I think our goal is that these repairs, renovations to the existing facility would be the intent of lasting another 20 years.
Okay, so if we decided not to make any renovations in the pool, then we'd be set for the foreseeable
No.
future.
If we did do any expansion to the pool.
Right, if
Right.
we decide
If
we
we
don't
did
want to
these-
expand anything in the
right.
pool,
Yes.
then we would
You
essentially
said
be.
renovations, that's
Maybe
what
that's
we
what we
want
should
to do
stop
here,
using.
but
Maybe we
yes.
should
No, no,
stop
but-
using the
yes.
word renovation
Well,
and use the word
expand.
maintenance.
I mean, when you're
We
talking
do-
about flipping this
Or
pool and
maintain.
moving this pool and
Yeah.
adding this and, that's a very small piece of property in
It
reality.
is, the footprint
And
is.
so it's, when you
we don't-
start talking about this, then you say, well, okay, well, so my question is that, what I look at is that, I know we've talked about the pool being at capacity, and, which is good. I mean, people like to come to our pool just the way it is. And so so if we decide we don't want to add anything to the pool, then we would essentially be set for a while as far as additional expenses on repairs and that type, and equipment upgrades and things like that.
Yes, however, I think that we are challenged right now with meeting the demand. Our demand has certainly not gone down. I think it's continuing to go up, which is somewhat surprising 21 years after we've opened this facility, that we're, still seeing the numbers that we see. This is the first time in 21 years that we've hit 8 days in the last 2 weeks where we've exceeded 1,000 people through the front gate. So I think that's where the initial thoughts and recommendation were part of this assessment. As a result of this assessment was we're experiencing numbers that were above and beyond where we initially thought when this facility was built. And I think that's where the thought process is about potentially renovating to be able to accommodate the numbers that we are continuing to experience.
So to answer your question though, if we did no expansion and we did this project, yes, we would, the hope is, and the design for maintenance and repairs would be to get another up to 20 years or more out of the existing facility.
Okay.
The caveat, though, is that one of the reasons that we've been able to extend it this long is that we have every year done basic, when we see that something needs to be done, we're not putting it off.
Right.
And so we've continued to invest modest amounts, relatively modest amounts, every year to extend it as long as we can. So as long as we do that, then the hope would be that we would get 20 more years out of it.
Yeah, we've not gone 21 years without doing some ongoing maintenance to these areas.
And one last question on the, you're talking about we have 1,000 people a day going through the pool, and that's wonderful. I'm glad to see that. Have we given thoughts to doing a tiered system where we charge people that don't live in the city of Troy proper, charging them extra? I know when I go to play golf down at Castle Hill in Vandalia, because I'm not a resident, I pay a higher golf fee. And I know when I go to the Tip City pool, take my granddaughter swimming, because we're not a resident of Tip City, we pay a higher fee. We don't do that in Troy, though, right?
We do not.
Has there been any thought to do that to help ease that crush of people?
We have not recommended that to the Recreation Board, no.
Do we know how many are out of Troy? On percentages, like 5%?
I mean,
couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
That would be a good thing to keep track of, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if we can get a couple of extra bucks from people that come in that aren't residents of Troy, whether they come from, Pickle or Sydney or Vandalia.
That's a very
or Shenandoah
difficult-
subdivision or wherever, then we can, that'd add more money to the pool and help reduce maintenance costs or add different, it's money coming in that we ought to be looking at, I would think. And I think we should do the same thing at the golf course.
We have a hard enough time dealing with managing the number of people that are coming out of that facility on any given day. To have to try to monitor and manage that piece of it would be a very, very challenging thing to ask our staff to do, especially when all of our staff are part-time folks, and
16-year-old.
a lot of them are, and a lot of them are high school or college age kids. It would be a significant challenge for us.
I did not go to Vandalia and say, where do you live? I live in Troy. Well, is this what you pay to play golf here today? Okay.
When people sign up for passes, do they have to give their address and information?
When they purchase a pass,
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
I would say 95% of the people do purchase them online, so they put all that information in, yes.
Okay, well, then we have that available.
But that
Right.
doesn't mean they live in the city of Troy, just because they have a Troy address.
Right, but I know lots of people that have a Piqua address or Sydney address that use the pool regularly.
Sure, they do.
So, you know. But I don't know if they're buying passes, I don't know.
What percentage of your attendance is from passes versus daily, just guesstimate? Would you say it's significantly higher?
I would say probably a third is memberships each day.
Okay, and 2/3 daily,
So it might be difficult to extrapolate
Yeah.
from
yeah.
passes
Well,
alone.
I mean, you get a,
When it's
I mean, they can
95,
come
you're
to,
getting 1,000 people, but when it's 72.
come to the city and get a recreational pass, which essentially tells them that, okay, you're a resident of Troy. Get that at the beginning of the year, and then they show that pass when they buy their daily ticket. Otherwise, if you don't have that pass, you pay a higher fee.
You just added a significant layer of administrative.
Yeah, the administration
burden on
alone
that.
is not worth the return.
This is a pretty
of those
lean
few
staff
dollars.
over there.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah,
Sure.
lean,
It's not worth it.
okay.
I don't know.
If you want a
That's
pass, here's the pass.
that would be an entirely different
You want to come into
system,
the
I
pool,
think, of
here's the price of the pool.
processing.
No, It's not worth the admin.
Just one last housekeeping question for Mr. Titterington.
Yes,
The detailed
sir.
report lists MSA Architectures simultaneously of Columbus and Cincinnati unless they have multiple offices.
They do have multiple.
They do, yes.
Okay, so I'm just saying, one says Columbus, one says Cincinnati. I don't know if there's a
Yeah,
difference.
they're several different locations.
Okay. Well, this seems like a big list for 1.7, in my opinion. Of course, a year from now, that might be higher, correct?
Well, and that's correct, and that's why we want to get this out to bid as soon as we could, and at least lock those prices down so that then we can schedule the work next year and not pay next year's rates.
Okay. Anybody else in the audience? Thank you so much. Yes. You might have to hang here because she might have a question for you. I don't know.
So I think everything's been,
Name and
oh,
address.
I'm so sorry. Madison Hickman, 402 Lincoln Avenue. So I think a lot of the concerns that I've heard a lot of citizens have been addressed. A lot of it's resurfacing. The pools don't plan on getting, or the pools that are getting maintenance potentially are not going to get demolished or messed with down the line if there is an addition. But what you did mention is not touching pipes that are underground. Is there any possibility that those pipes do need to be replaced sooner than later, or with this renovation, possible renovation that's coming? You were talking about in the pump house.
That's unknown. That could happen any given year. We've had that happen once since the facility was opened. I think it was about 6 or 7 years in, we had to replace a pipe. Fortunately, it was in the grass, not under the decking, but that could happen at any given year.
The risk percentage is low.
Okay.
Willing to take.
Did- When we had the survey done for what needed work being done today, survey those pipes at all or do any type of inspection of those?
All of the underground pipes?
Yeah.
No, we've had experience with a couple of the pipes in the main pump room where we need to make some repairs, and we know that they're visible. But in terms of the pipes underground, we're not experiencing any leaking currently in any of the lines, so
Suppose it'll tell you if there's a problem pretty
yeah.
quickly.
pretty quickly.
Thank you.
That could happen tomorrow. It's hard to say.
No, it's not.
Knock on
No, it's not.
Not gone.
Don't say
We
that.
got to get 1,000 people tomorrow. It's 92. Yeah, I know.
Bradley Baringer, 105 Crestwood Drive. I just have some questions. About a month ago, this room was packed, full of citizens, and their prime comment was, "We want baseball fields." And what was the comment to the baseball parents? Wait. Our master plan is not done yet. We cannot prioritize. So tell me why all of a sudden, Mr. Titterington, we are putting priorities on a pool? When the true priority, if you look at the survey results, the true priority was not the aquatic facility. It was baseball fields.
Brad, can you address,
These kids, Mr. Titterington, let me finish before you comment, please. Do not shut me down.
can you address?
You have to,
Talking to the chair.
I'm talking to the chair, but I'm asking you the questions, Mr. Titterington, through the chair.
Okay.
Through the chair to you. Because you are quoted as saying, we're not prioritizing right now. We're not prioritizing. The master plan's not done yet. But here you are, you're going to ask $220,000 for a study for something that's not even a true priority. Why is that?
Okay, can I
Mr.
respond now, Mr. Behringer?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so what I just said about for the last 10 minutes is that this project
Is
is
budget.
not an analysis, and it's not talking about any kind of expansion.
It doesn't
This
matter.
is
You're saying it is a
maintaining-
priority, Patrick. You are saying it is a priority when
This-
you said, when the people had said baseball fields are a priority. So which is it? Is it a priority or is it not?
It is always a priority to maintain what we have.
this is an
This
existing
is
facility.
maintaining a 21-year-old facility as it sits. This is not expansion.
It doesn't
of
matter. You are
anything.
saying it is a priority, Patrick. Either it
Okay.
is or it isn't.
Well, we have to
When the kids
maintain
need
what we
baseball
have.
fields.
I'm talking to the wall.
Yes, you are talking to the wall because the wall is the citizens of Troy who are tired of the obfuscation and the lies that are coming out.
Lies.
And I'm sorry, but Mr. Lutz has it right. You guys need to get some cojones and put a stop to this because this is not what the citizens want.
We
They
have
said
to
in a
maintain
survey
our facilities, that we do have to maintain
at 220,000. But
have.
what is the priority, Susan?
Yeah, but
What
I
is
will
the
say
priority?
that I do think, I agree that I do think that the baseball fields need addressed.
So address them, but not
I
$220,000.
can't do that right now.
Yes,
but I will
But
tell
he's
you.
saying, but what he's telling
I'm
you.
telling you, hold on. I'm telling you, I've been to the pool. I go there often. There are a lot of people that are there. Just because they're not coming here and saying we want more doesn't mean that the facility that already exists should not be kept up. I don't know about you. I don't want to live in a city where things are falling apart. I have it. I have it right here. It's not something new. It needs to be maintained. I'm not saying that the baseball fields don't need to be addressed because I do think that they do.
But to me,
But
that
this
was,
is
but if you look at the
maintenance.
survey results, Christie, that was a number one priority, was the ball fields, not a pool.
But we
But
don't
it is-
have
it is
those
true.
ball fields yet. When we have those ball fields, we'll maintain them.
But when is that going to happen? We're going to
Okay.
spend $220,000 on a pool study, of a pool design.
This is
for what?
maintenance.
We're
It's
not doing-
maintenance, so we can take care of what we already have.
Okay.
It's
We
not
are not
comfortable.
spending-
Nobody likes to
It does-
spend this much money, but it has to be done to maintain
I would
it.
disagree with that. I would disagree with that, and the time to stop it is now.
Have you been
In
to
the con- in
Pickwas
the-
Pool?
It doesn't exist.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Because
It doesn't
they couldn't
exist.
take care of it.
Okay, so my next question
So
is
they-
then, why now? Why not, why didn't we do this maintenance as it went along? Why are we dropping $1.7 million?
They
into
have
it?
been doing maintenance stuff as it went along.
Mr.
But we're dropping $1.7 million into a pool when I told you, you look at the results of the survey, ball
I hear
fields are a
you.
priority.
But we don't
Brad.
have them yet.
I'm sorry.
There's
We're-
where I
I-
think you're flawed. There was a group that said that, but the survey's not complete. So, yes, people could have voted for the baseball fields, but how do you know that not the same amount voted for the pool, which is a totally separate subject? So don't come saying that the survey said, because it's still open.
Okay,
Okay.
that's a fair statement.
So,
I'll
give me that.
I'll
Number
give
two-
you that one.
Number two is, this was in the budget. This
So
is
what
a-
if it's
a
in the
ma-
budget? So what?
because we know there's a maintenance cost to having a pool in Troy for our citizens.
And I'll give you credit where it's
This is the
due.
cost of that maintenance to maintain our pool for our citizens at this moment. We can't live on a fairy tale that we're gonna build a new pool. We might not have the funding, et cetera. This is to maintain what we have right now for our citizens who have said it's important, buy the passes. and
Then why
stuff
aren't
that
they here?
bought.
Then why aren't they here fighting for
Well,
it?
they're telling us by their money, they're buying the passes, they're going to
They're
the pool.
there.
They're
So
at the
there.
pool.
They are at the pool.
So-
They're spending their money to
I'm
go.
sorry, but if they really want that, they should be here fighting for it. That's just what I believe. Thank you.
that note.
Well, what can I say that hasn't been said before? First thing is, I know the survey is not done yet. When is it going to be done? Does anybody know?
We're going to keep the survey open. We're anticipating probably through maybe the middle of July. It depends on, if we're still getting inundated with survey results. We want to get as much input as possible. I think we are close already to exceeding the total number, if we haven't already exceeded the total number of surveys for this project, which again is a component project, Parks and Recreation, as we received for the whole comprehensive plan, which included Parks and Recreation. You would expect to see the opposite. So there's been a lot of interest, and there's a lot of surveys that are being completed.
So when the surveys are complete, will they be released to the public?
We will, Structure Point will be compiling the data, and we'll have some, charts and comparisons and start to show the priorities, and that's all going to be publicly.
Will there be some raw data that we can look at? I don't want Structure Point telling me what the answer is.
The data? Yes, though they shared the data for the comprehensive plan. We told you that we're going to do this park and rec master plan the same way as we did the comp plan.
Are you meaning like
They're
this
very transparent.
The numbers.
person?
I don't want to
click
wait
this
for,
and
I don't
this?
wait for Structure Point and the staff of engineers and consultants to look at that data and give me a summary of it. Not that I don't trust them, but I don't trust them. Okay? So that's all I'm asking. It's not a deep question. We're going to see the details of it.
You just want to see all the
details of it.
surveys dumped into the.
But the data is what's being pulled.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not, they're not putting a spin
we're
on it.
paying Structure Point to
say
analyze the
10
data
people voted for
and
this.
provide,
10 people.
all the aggregate data, how many want this versus that, and how one amenity compares to another.
All right,
It'll
so-
be pretty comprehensive.
So by early August or so, we should have the results.
We would hope so, yes.
Okay. Now, the priorities, he's on a good point, okay? Obviously went overboard, but there is a point about, we're supposed to get a priority and all that stuff based on the survey. But since the survey's not done yet, we can't really talk about priorities until that survey is done and the results are out in August. So I hope that by August we get those results, and we can calmly sit around or stand up or whatever we want to do and try to prioritize what's going on in the city. Now, there is a point to be said about, yes, I understand there's that much money in the budget. However, if the survey comes back and it completely flips whatever we're thinking, you can take that budget and throw it away. There's no reason to spend, even if it's in a budget, but turns out only 6 people in Troy want to spend money on the pool. I think you got to take a real hard look at what we should be doing, okay? I don't know the answer to that, and there's not a person in this room that knows the answer to that either until we get the data in. So anyway, I understand completely what is being planned. It's not an expansion of the pool. I'll also point out to you clearly on the survey was slanted towards the pool. If you look at the details of that, is pick which of these 4 options you like. Was none of the above listed?
No.
So, in all the respect to the people who put together polls, I'm old enough to get snookered by a lot of these polls that say, when did you stop beating your wife kind of questions. So be careful when you get those results back. It's pretty easy to see, when there's 4 or 5 choices for the pool, but none that say, I don't want to spend a penny on the pool. Be careful of the analysis. Go back and read that questionnaire, okay? The questionnaire, I understand the best people on the planet put it together, but it was biased, okay? Not intentionally, perhaps, but it was biased. So as we get all that stuff in and we analyze it, just have an open mind about what it's telling us, not what somebody's trying to tell it is. Okay? Thank you for your time.
Thank
I
you.
don't have any other questions. Let peace prevail.
Thank you.
I'll still
I-
state, the survey is just a piece of the overall plan. We know people use the pool based on how many show up. So we know the importance already of the pool, whether someone marks it on a survey or not, because it's being utilized year after year and keeps increasing, and we want to maintain that piece of,
Right.
for our community.
I understand that.
That's where we stand now. So this isn't, this is, the priority is,
We just
Yeah.
gone through the hottest 2 weeks in memory. Okay?
yeah,
So the idea that, oh, there's a lot of people at the pool's like, no kidding.
yeah.
Right,
But we have
You-
year-over-year data.
Well, I understand.
stating
Right.
pool is important.
But go back to 21 years. I don't know how long that ball field's been underwater, 21 years. I don't want to go back to say, oh, because we used it for 21 years, that's the high priority? Take a look at the ball field. How long has that been out there? And how often? So there's a lot of stuff going into this, mostly emotion, which we have to take a little bit out of it, and we'll try to figure out how to best spend the money. I mean, it all comes down to money. Where you want to spend the money. And I would hope that you want to spend it where the taxpayers think it should go, not where some consultant thinks it should go.
yes,
know-
I agree. I agree, because a consultant doesn't live here. A consultant probably hasn't been to a football game where he had to walk half a mile to get to the bathroom, and different things that we know exist as far as priorities go, that we have ball fields, a number one need, in my opinion, number one need, but we have to maintain what we
Yeah.
have. And that's how I feel about this project right now.
I don't
We have to
disagree.
maintain it, because I live right across from the pool. It's crowded every single day, every single day. So I see it, and we have to maintain it. But just because we have a survey that says 65 people want hot air balloons coming out our chimneys, doesn't mean we should do that. Just because we have an idea doesn't mean it's a good idea and we can run with it. We have to prioritize our needs for our citizens, absolutely.
And the surveys are anonymous, oh, by the way. How many times did we
Anybody
all
could.
vote?
Yeah,
Kind of
well,
like being
one
a
for me.
Republican or something. But anyway,
Right.
it's kind of that way. The other thing we got to be careful about as consultants is the first group talked about, oh, we got an estimate from the consultant for 2.2 million. I hope we never, ever get a estimate from that group again, off by $1 million. That's pretty tough to take. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Westfall, one last comment before we can maybe head back to the issue at hand here. I would say, I'm going to bring it up next week at next council's meeting, but I was in attendance last week at a meeting with our consultants, with the majority stakeholders, the organizers of our youth baseball groups, in a meeting last week, so they got to be face-to-face, cutting out all the red tape between what they want, what they're looking for, and the people who are making this plan. So we have already started that process. I hope to give a kind of a wider ranging report to council next week. I didn't know if this was the time or place to do that, but the ball is moving in that direction as we speak already. Early stages, but that is happening.
Anybody else with comments?
You say hot air balloons out of.
I'm just
Giving
thinking.
people ideas.
It wasn't on the survey.
priority.
I'll just put that out there.
Not a question.
All right, recommendations? Move forward. Move forward,
Yes, move forward.
and it's unanimous. We should move forward.
Okay.
All right. Item 2 says provide a recommendation to council regarding authorizing the rec board to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for a new ice resurfacing machine at a cost not to exceed $160,000. Details?
Sure. This was in the 2026 budget at an estimated cost of $150,000. We had hoped that we would find one on state contract, but with the specs that we need for that colloquially, or I guess branded, is the Zamboni, I'm not sure that it'll actually be a Zamboni. It is not on state contract since it clearly exceeds the $77,000 threshold. The Recreation Board is asking to advertise for bids to enter a contract at a cost not to exceed $160,000, since there has been a price increase on the vehicle. We're not asking for emergency consideration.
Okay, questions?
Does this fit anywhere, lead time? Like I know our ambulances take a long time. There's a lead time. Do we know if there's any lead time with the Zamboni?
I don't think it's inordinate, is it, Ken?
The estimated lead time I've been given is 12 to 15 months.
Okay, yes, it is. I was thinking 6 to 12, but, okay. Maybe we can get a demo.
Rides on the Zamboni.
Used model, but-
Yeah, can we get rides?
Per fee. But if you live outside of Troy, you'll pay more.
I have no further questions.
No question.
Anyone else on the council?
No.
Any other people in the audience? Comments about the Zamboni?
You had to say it once.
I know, it's a fun word. All right, recommendations then?
Move forward.
Move forward, unanimous to move forward. Anything else for Parks and Rec?
No.
We're adjourned.